sister. Hey, mister, I want to be your baby sister.
The French are glad to die for love.
I always have my own way of dealing with people. And there's never been a man or a woman yet, Ben, that I haven't been able to deal with. I'm glad to see that your father had your teeth fixed, if not your tongue.
When I went into the Army, and it's right there in front of you. So the average black man on the street, I wasn't aware that he faced it every day until it happened to me, because the other guy doesn't even have show business or celebrity to protect him. So it is really the Shakespearean saying, I am my brother's keeper, really is true in the sense we all fight racism in one way or another.
Hollywood may seem all sunshine and rainbows, but let's be real. It's been a hotbed of drama and shocking secrets for decades. And one of the biggest scandals? Interracial romance. Back in the day, some of the biggest stars in the industry were blacklisted simply for daring to love someone outside the lines. It's a shocking reminder of the prejudice and bigotry that once ran rampant in Hollywood. Today, we're spilling all the tea from the darkest corners of Hollywood. The scandalous chapter of Tinseltown history, a time when some of Tinseltown's biggest stars were blacklisted for daring to love black men. You won't believe the lengths the industry went to keep these interracial romances under wraps, so ensure you're strapped in for this one.
You just never know when your whole past is going to be brought out around here.
I hope we have a chance to visit after this is over. You never call, you never ask me.
Betty White. Betty White, the iconic actress and comedian, was a true pioneer of early television. With a career spanning nearly 7 decades, she left an unforgettable mark on the entertainment industry. From sitcoms to sketch comedy and game shows, she's done it all. And did you know that she was the first woman to produce a sitcom?
Hola, esposo.
Esposo, that means husband. Then hola, esposo must mean...
There's a hole in my husband.
And that sitcom was the beginning of this drama. The Betty White Show, which aired in 1954, caused quite a stir when Betty White featured a black tap dancer, Arthur Duncan.
Whenever there's music, the devil kicks.
Let's be real, Duncan had moves that would make you dizzy, and his rhythm was impeccable. Critics would eventually call him a song and dance man who could do it all. A talented young man, but apparently some people could only see the color of his skin. Betty White defied Hollywood's racist norms by refusing to remove Duncan from her show.
The first person that gave me a shot in television was Betty White. I was on the show, and they had some letters out of Mississippi and elsewhere that some of the stations would not carry the show if I was permitted to stay on there. Well, Betty wrote back and said, needless to say, we used Arthur Duncan every opportunity we could.
Southern television stations threatened boycotts, sponsors threatened to pull out, but Betty stood her ground, famously declaring,
So I said, I'm sorry, but, he stays or live with it.
In a move that read, sorry, I ain't sorry, she gave Arthur more airtime. It was a groundbreaking move during a time of racial segregation, and it showed that some people were willing to challenge the status quo. The show got canceled, mostly for lack of sponsorship and not because of low viewership. Duncan's career took off, and Betty became a champion for diversity in television. Betty died in 2021 at 99 years old with a net worth of $75 million. She proved that you don't have to be afraid to challenge the status quo, even if it means getting into a little bit of trouble.
Mae West became one of the biggest stars in Hollywood and certainly one of the most prominent stars here at Paramount.
What excuses a gal like you for running around single?
I was born that way.
Mae West. Born Mary Jane West in 1893 in Brooklyn, New York, Mae was a natural-born performer.
I can't even think of his name.
She started her career as a kid in vaudeville and later wrote her own plays. But she wasn't just any playwright. She was the queen of saucy, sexy drama. Her play Sex was so scandalous that she got arrested in 1926. Mae West met her match in 1928, a rising boxing star named William Gorilla Jones. They met at a nightclub in New York and hit it off immediately. Their romance was a match made in heaven. Or, shall we say, boxing ring. Jones was a young and promising boxer, just 22 years old, and on the cusp of stardom. She was his biggest supporter, front row at his fights, and even bankrolling his lavish lifestyle. Mae West's love for Jones was so hot, it could melt ice. When the building management tried to stop Jones from visiting her because of his skin color, Mae was having none of it. She shocked everyone by simply buying the whole building. Did you say power move? 'Cause I hear ya. Mae West wasn't just pushing boundaries on screen.
Let me tell you something. Don't ever let a man put anything over on you outside of an umbrella.
She was stirring up major drama off screen, too. Her daring relationship choices only added fuel to the fire of her already scandalous reputation. Hollywood was already clutching its pearls over her, and this just gave the critics more ammo. The backlash was fierce. Suddenly, her films and performances were getting slapped with all kinds of censorship, with everyone in town whispering about her immorality. Their romance was a statement against racism and a testament to Mae West's bold and independent spirit. Their interracial relationship, especially during a time of strict segregation, shocked the world. And buying that building, her image as a cultural icon and a pioneer of sexual frankness was cemented. Mae died in November 1980, and her net worth at the time is put at $50 million. She was a true rebel who paved the way for others.
Coupons, that's like money, isn't it?
Very similar.
I'm so pleased Dorothy's taken an interest in you.
Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe, the iconic blonde bombshell, wasn't always a Hollywood superstar. Born Norma Jean Mortensen in 1926, she got married at the age of 16 to avoid being in an orphanage. The marriage definitely didn't last, but that's our glimpse into this defiant diva. In 1944, a photographer spotted her and thought she would make a great model. So, Marilyn ditched her brunette hair, bleached it blonde, and started modeling to make a name for herself. Talk about a bold move. And it paid off. And in 1946, she signed with 20th Century Fox and officially became Marilyn Monroe. Back in the day, it was a big deal for people of different races to be friends, let alone have a romantic relationship. So, when rumors started swirling about Marilyn Monroe and a guy named William from UCLA, everyone and their grandma was talking about it. There were whispers about a secret romance between the daring blonde bombshell and her college buddy. But was it true? Only they know for sure. But here's the tea we can confirm. In the 1950s, jazz legend Ella Fitzgerald, who's been described as the high priestess of song, was having trouble getting booked at major venues because of racism. But Marilyn wasn't going to stand for it, and because Marilyn was a marketing genius and not just a pretty face, she offered to help Ella Fitzgerald get booked at the Macombo Club, so she made a deal.
Marilyn loved Ella Fitzgerald, and Marilyn made a deal with the head of the nightclub that if they would book her, Marilyn would show up every night.
And she kept her word. Thanks to Marilyn's star power, the club was packed, and Ella's career skyrocketed, and Marilyn became her biggest fan, calling her her very favorite person. Unfortunately, her iconic sex symbol image has overshadowed her many accomplishments. Marilyn Monroe was a force to be reckoned with, but people often forget that she was more than just a pretty face. She was a talented actress and businesswoman who fought hard to be taken seriously. Though her friendship with Ella was quite controversial back in the day, a good number of enlightened people thought it was awesome. Ella, who was always grateful for Marilyn's support, described Marilyn as an unusual woman who was a little ahead of her times and didn't know it. Oh, Ella, we think she knew it. Marilyn was a trendsetter even before it was cool, and their friendship was a shining example of two amazing women overcoming obstacles despite the color of their skin and the majority's opinion about it. Marilyn Monroe died at the age of 36 in 1962, with a net worth put at $800,000.
I get so tired of just being told I'm pretty.
Kim Novak. Born Marilyn Pauline Novak in Chicago, Illinois in 1933, she signed a contract with Columbia Pictures and decided to go by Kim Novak instead. Her role in the movie Vertigo was a game changer for her career.
If I let you change me, will it do it? I do what you tell me. Will you love me?
Even though the movie didn't do well at first, it's now considered one of Alfred Hitchcock's best works. Kim's performance was amazing, and it helped her become a top actress in Hollywood. A book by Lawrence Leamer spills all the tea on a Hollywood romance that was doomed from the start. Apparently, screen siren Novak, the Hitchcock blonde, had a thing for Rat Pack legend Sammy Davis Jr. But before you start shipping them, let me tell you the heartbreaking truth. This was the 1950s. Racism was running rampant, and it got in the way of their love story.
I would imagine it to be compared to, going out in space without a spacesuit on. And we traveled as a group of performers because we all got kicked in the butt, more or less, because people would say, oh, here come those gypsies, as they would call us, but we protected each other. But in 44, when I went into the Army, and it's right there in front of you. So the average black man on the street, I wasn't aware that he faced it every day until it happened to me.
Can you imagine? Two talented stars, but society just couldn't handle it. The book goes into detail about how this toxic atmosphere ruined any chance that they had at happiness. I mean, their chemistry was off the charts. Apparently, Sammy was totally smitten with Kim's bombshell beauty. The following year, while Kim was busy filming that Hitchcock thriller Vertigo, Sammy decided to show up on set and steal some spotlight. Can you imagine a Rat Pack legend just casually dropping by to see his crush? They became pretty close, and Kim even said that Sammy was like a little boy around her. Rumor has it that Sammy Davis Jr. wasn't just interested in Kim Novak for her beauty. He actually wanted to use her to stick it to all the racists out there. Can you believe it? He wanted to show the world that he could have any woman he wanted, no matter her skin color, because he at least deserved it. But then Sammy started to genuinely fall for Kim. Unfortunately, their relationship didn't sit well with everyone in Hollywood. The head of Columbia Pictures, where Kim was working, was particularly worried about the backlash they might face in a segregated South. Theaters could refuse to show movies with Kim if they knew she was dating a black man. It was a crazy time. It's wild that interracial relationships were still illegal in some places. But Kim Novak wasn't going to let anyone tell her who to love. When people tried to keep her away from Sammy Davis Jr., she was like, back off. It's none of your business. She was a rebel, and she wasn't going to let anyone control her life. But a nosy gossip columnist spilled the beans about their relationship, and it caused a major scandal. The head of Novak's studio, Harry Cohen, was furious. He actually threatened to hurt Sammy if he didn't break up with Novak. Can you imagine? That's some serious mobster stuff. It's crazy to think that people could be so cruel just because of the color of a person's skin. Whispers say Novak felt trapped by the industry and all the racism going on. It was a tough time for her, but she later said that their relationship helped break down barriers and change people's minds about interracial love. Kim Novak is now 91 years old with a net worth estimated at $15 million.
Hey, mister, I want to be your babysitter.
May Britt. May Britt, the woman Sammy Davis eventually married. Born May Britt Wickens in March of 1934, this Swedish actress burst onto the scene in the 50s and quickly became a Hollywood darling. She was discovered by a couple of Italian filmmakers while working as a photographer's assistant. May Britt eventually caught the eye of the legendary Sammy Davis Jr. They fell head over heels and got hitched in 1960. It was still illegal in most states, and people were freaking out. Some even said that people were warning Sammy against getting married because it could ruin his career. Imagine the drama. After they got engaged, Hollywood studios started canceling May Britt's movies. They thought that her marriage would hurt her career. But there's more, because whispers say that big-time politician John F. Kennedy told Sammy to hold off tying the knot until after the presidential election that year. Can you imagine? And postponed it was. And when they eventually signed the dotted lines, they paid a big price for their happiness. The couple was bombarded with hate mail and even faced protests. It was a tough time for them, and it shows just how much racism was still a problem back then. Their marriage shook things up and got people talking about race and love. May is now 90 years old with an undisclosed net worth.
You look tired. Are you all right?
You know you're a nag. A very pretty one, but a nag.
Inger Stevens. Born Ingrid Strensland in October 1934, Inger Stevens was a Swedish stunner who stole hearts on The Farmer's Daughter.
Well, it is your best man and your decision. But if you're thinking what I'm thinking, I'd be delighted.
Behind her dazzling smile and on-screen charm, she battled demons that would leave even the strongest of us reeling. Rumor has it she had a roller coaster of a personal life, with depression dragging her down and relationships with her co-stars. Inger got married to Ike Jones, a fellow actor, in 1961. But here's the twist. They kept their relationship under wraps because of the racial tensions at the time. When I say under wraps, I actually mean a total secret. Like they were married on paper but lived separate lives. Imagine the drama, living separate lives, filing taxes as single people. It sounds like their relationship was a total roller coaster with lots of ups and downs. Inger was worried it would ruin her career. I mean, look what happened to May Britt. We're talking Hollywood drama, people. Imagine the pressure she must have felt. Unfortunately, Inger's tragic death in 1970 brought their secret to light when her brother spilled the tea on why the couple had to keep such news away from the public. It's a heartbreaking tale that shows just how tough it was to be in an interracial relationship back then. Inger Stevens passed away at the age of 35 in 1969 with an accumulated net worth of $1.1 million.
If the truth does hurt, and it obviously does, what do you expect me to do about it? Why, you dirty little... Don't choke on the words. spit it out.
Joan Collins. Born in 1933, Dame Joan Collins, the queen of campy drama, has been ruling Hollywood since the 1950s. You probably know her best as Alexis Carrington, the scheming socialite from Dynasty.
I'm glad to see that your father had your teeth fixed, if not your tongue.
This British bombshell has been in the spotlight for almost 8 decades and has won countless awards.
It's taken me a bit of time, but I'm really happy to have it. Thank you.
And even has her own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She's a true legend, and her career is nothing short of iconic. And it's wild to think about how all of it could have been shot to smithereens because of a love affair with a man of a different color. In the 1950s, she had a fling that could have cost her everything. She was smitten with Harry Belafonte, the charming actor with those melting brown eyes.
This is my island in the sun.
But here's the twist. Harry was still married at the time. Imagine the scandal if anyone had found out. It was a scandal that could have ruined their careers. And shockingly, it wouldn't be because Harry was married. It shows just how tough it was to be in a mixed-race relationship back in the day. A whirlwind romance that didn't last long, but it's a juicy little tidbit that adds another layer to Joan Collins' already fascinating life. Joan is now 91, and her net worth is put at $20 million. So there you have it, Hollywood's dirty little secret. The actresses who were blackballed for daring to love who they loved. These brave women defied societal norms and faced unimaginable consequences for their courage. Their stories are a testament to the power of love and the resilience of the human spirit. But let's be real, Hollywood has always been a playground for the rich and famous, and sometimes love can get in the way. These actresses were victims of a system that simply wasn't ready for their groundbreaking relationships.